Corporate life rewards the person who answers first, but very often the most useful thought arrives much later. After the meeting, after everyone has agreed, after the decision has already started turning into a slide, a task, a roadmap, or, God help us, a great alignment moment. There is a French expression for this, Esprit de l'escalier, the wit of the staircase. It means that perfect response you think of only after the conversation is over. You leave the room, walk down the stairs, or enter the elevator, and suddenly your brain says, wait a second, that was the answer, that was the point, that was the thing I should have said. We usually treat this as a small personal failure, as if we were not quick enough, not sharp enough, not confident enough in the room. But I think in organizations, this is often not a failure at all. It may be a signal that the meeting was too fast, that the discussion was too political, that people were performing certainty instead of actually thinking. And that the most important idea entered the room only after the room had already moved on. Let's be honest, modern corporate culture loves fast thinking. We admire people who can immediately comment on anything. Strategy, budgets, hiring, AI, cybersecurity, market shifts, team structure, organizational politics, preferably all in the same 30-minute meeting while looking calm, decisive, and fully aligned. There is a very specific corporate performance here. Someone hears a complex problem, pauses for half a second, and then delivers a confident answer in complete sentences. And the room likes it. Because confidence is comfortable, speed creates momentum. A quick answer gives everyone the feeling that the problem is now under control. But here is the uncomfortable part. The person with the fastest answer is not always the person doing the best thinking. Sometimes they are simply the person most comfortable performing certainty in public. And in many organizations, that performance is rewarded more than judgment. This matters a lot in product work, leadership, and now especially in the age of AI. Product decisions are rarely clean. A roadmap is not just a list of features. It is a map of trade-offs, politics, dependencies, user needs, technical debt, promises, fears, and sometimes pure organizational fantasy. Leadership decisions are not clean either. They involve people, incentives, timing, trust, conflict, and power. And AI makes the situation even more complicated because now fast answers are almost free. We can generate summaries, strategies, market arguments, product ideas, presentations, risks, and recommendations in seconds. That sounds useful, and often it is. But it also means that speed becomes even less impressive. When everyone can produce an answer quickly, the real value moves somewhere else. The value is not in answering fast. The value is in knowing which answer should not be trusted yet. The value is in asking, are we moving quickly because we understand the problem or because nobody wants to slow the room down? This is where things get tricky. Meetings often look like rational discussions, but they are also social environments. People are not just thinking, they are managing risk. They are thinking, can I challenge this? Is this person too senior? Will this sound negative? Will I look difficult? Is this the right time? Do I have enough evidence? Will this come back to me later? Is everyone already pretending to agree? So the brain is not only processing the problem, it is also processing hierarchy, politics, relationships, reputation, and emotional safety. That is a lot. And then we wonder why the best thought arrives later. Of course, it arrives later. Later, you are no longer performing. You are no longer trying to be diplomatic. You are no longer protecting your team, reading the room, managing optics, and decoding stakeholder language at the same time. The pressure drops, the nervous system calms down, and suddenly the real thought appears. Not the clever comeback, not the perfect movie line, the real insight. Something like, the roadmap does not actually make sense. We are calling this a delivery problem, but it is really a prioritization problem. This initiative was approved because nobody wanted the political cost of challenging it. This KPI measures comfort for management, not value for users. The team is not blocked by execution. The team is blocked by unclear ownership. But by then, the meeting is over, Someone has already written a nice Teams summary. Someone has already said, "Great progress, everyone." Someone has already turned the half-formed agreement into a next step. And this is how organizations make decisions. Not always because the idea was good, sometimes because it survived 45 minutes without enough resistance. That sounds cynical, but I do not think it is rare. Large organizations are full of decisions made just before the best thought appeared. And at senior levels, this becomes even more visible. The more political the environment, the less pure thinking happens in the room. A lot of executive discussion is not just strategy, it is emotional risk management with a strategic vocabulary. People are constantly calculating which conflict is worth having, which truth is safe, which person needs to feel heard, which decision is already unofficially decided, which sentence may return in 6 months during budget season. So when someone sends a very sharp follow-up email late at night, it may not mean they suddenly became smarter after dinner. It may simply mean they finally had the processing power to think. The staircase did its job. Now, to be fair, there is a counter-argument. Organizations cannot wait forever. Not every decision needs deep reflection. Sometimes speed is necessary. Sometimes the cost of delay is higher than the cost of being slightly wrong. In product work, you often need to move, test, learn, and adjust. That is true. The problem is not speed itself. The problem is when speed becomes a proxy for competence. The problem is when hesitation is treated as weakness, when reflection is treated as a lack of leadership, when the person who says, "I need to think about this," is seen as less capable than the person who immediately gives a polished answer. That is not maturity, that is theater. A healthy organization does not make every decision slow, but it knows which decisions deserve a second pass. It creates room for delayed thinking. For example, after an important roadmap meeting, the goal should not be to lock the decision forever the second the call ends. The goal should be to capture the current agreement and allow a short window for objections, risks, and better framing. A simple sentence can change the culture. Let's treat this as a working conclusion. If anyone sees a major issue after reflection, bring it back by tomorrow. That is not bureaucracy, that is quality control. Or take AI adoption inside an organization. A team may come out of a meeting very excited. Everyone agrees, let's use AI to summarize content, automate workflows, generate recommendations, and speed up production. Sounds good, but the delayed thought may be more important than the excitement. What exactly are we automating? Who checks the output? Where can the model be wrong? What happens when the wrong answer is delivered confidently? Are we solving a real problem, or are we just adding AI because the slide looks better with AI on it? These questions rarely win the first 5 minutes of a meeting. They often arrive later, but they can save the organization from expensive nonsense. So what would I watch next? I would watch how organizations treat people who come back with second thoughts. Do they listen? Do they punish them socially? Do they say, "We already aligned," as if alignment were a holy contract? Do they allow smart correction, or do they only reward clean performance in the room? Because this is one of the hidden signs of organizational health. Weak organizations confuse delayed thinking with indecision. Strong organizations understand that complex decisions often need digestion. They know that the first answer is not always the best answer. Sometimes it is just the fastest, socially acceptable answer. And now, with AI, this becomes even more important. We are entering a period where fast answers will be everywhere. Every meeting can have instant notes. Every vague thought can become a polished paragraph. Every half-baked idea can become a strategy document by lunchtime. So leadership has to become more skeptical, not less. The scarce skill will not be producing more confident language. The scarce skill will be knowing when confidence is premature. Maybe Esprit de l'escalier is not really a personal flaw. Maybe it is the mind continuing to work after the performance has ended. Maybe it is a warning that the room moved too quickly. And maybe the most dangerous person in the meeting is not the one who speaks first. Maybe it is the one who speaks first, sounds certain, and makes everyone else stop thinking. The full version of this argument is in my LinkedIn article. The link is available in the episode description, and I would be curious to hear your experience. When did your best thought arrive too late? And does your organization have a way to bring that thought back into the room?